The millionaire cries as the black man saves his daughter and reveals a hidden secret. Michael Anderson never imagined that a quiet afternoon on his farm would change his life forever. As he waded through the creek, muttering to himself about the low feed prices, he heard the panicked cries of a child. They shattered the stillness of the Tennessee afternoon like glass. Heart racing, he turned and sprinted toward the water's edge. There, amidst the swirling murk, a little girl thrashed wildly. Eloise Harris, the daughter of Victoria Harris, the town's wealthy businesswoman. Dressed in a frilly pink dress that was now sinking into the muddy waters, her small frame was barely visible above the surface. Michael's throat tightened. He plunged into the icy creek without thinking. The chill shocked his system, but desperation fueled him. With each stroke, he felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. Thoughts spiraled through his mind. What if he failed? What if he lost her? The villagers nearby exchanged frantic glances, whispering nervously. A young mother gasped, clutching her baby close. "Someone save her!" a voice cried out, choking on anxiety. Michael reached Eloise just in time. He grabbed her small arm, pulling her toward him. She coughed and sputtered, water spewing from her lips. Relief flooded over him as he fought against the current, his heart pounding like a drum. Together, they emerged victorious, gasping for air as Michael dragged her to the bank. The crowd surged forward, faces painted with wide-eyed disbelief. But none were as shocked as Victoria Harris, who had just arrived, her heels sinking into the mud as she rushed toward her daughter. She dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her cheeks, her elegant business attire soaked in dirt. "Eloise!" Her voice broke like a knife, a sound of unbearable anguish and relief. Michael stepped back, unnoticed amidst the sea of frantic emotions. As whispers of admiration for his bravery spread, a looming presence darkened his thoughts, the disapproval of Victoria's father, a man notorious for his rigid views on the world, especially about people like Michael. But amidst the chaos, Victoria found him. She looked into his eyes, searching. "Thank you," she whispered. Their connection sparked like a live wire, but the air buzzed with complications, past traumas, societal barriers, and disapproving glances from the crowd. As Michael left the scene, he felt a mix of triumph and confusion. Could there be something more between them? He didn't know, yet a feeling deeper than he'd ever experienced clenched at his chest. Days later, as they met again, the two began to forge a bond that was both beautiful and fragile. Cats scratching at the edges of their pasts, but shadows lurked. Victoria's father would not simply sit by as his daughter fell for a humble farmer. And then there was the secret, a family mystery buried deeper than Michael could imagine, whispering that not everything was as it seemed. What truth would surface to challenge their love? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without prior notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you are still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, from which city are you watching this? I love getting to know every amazing person who is P. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Michael felt the sun on his back as he walked away from the creek. The adrenaline still coursed through his veins, but his heart was heavy. He didn't know what to think about the connection he felt with Victoria. They were from different worlds. He was a simple farmer with calloused hands and worries about feed prices. She was the golden child of this town, with wealth and status sewn into every fiber of her being. Days turned into weeks. Their secret meetings in the shade of the majestic oak tree at the edge of the farm became the highlight of his life. They shared laughter and stories, peeling back the layers of their lives. Victoria spoke of the pressure to uphold her family's legacy, while Michael confided in her about his dreams of a bigger farm. But always, that shadow loomed, hidden behind her father's cold glare. Michael could feel it, creeping around the edges of their moments together, whispering that tro. Then, one rainy afternoon, everything took a turn. Michael stood in his kitchen, the smell of fresh coffee filling the air, when he heard a frantic knock at the door. His heart pounded as he opened it. It was Tom, the town sheriff, drenched and wide-eyed. "Michael, you need to come quick," Tom gasped. "There's been an accident at the Harris estate." Panic swirled in his gut. What kind of accident? Victoria. She fell from the balcony. "Everyone's saying she was trying to escape a fight with her father," Tom said, his voice shaking. Michael's breath hitched. He bolted past Tom, rushing to the Harris estate. The rain ached against his skin, soaking through his clothes as he raced toward the waiting crowd. When he arrived, chaos reigned. The paramedics were everywhere, stretching a gurney down a slick path. Michael pushed through, heart aching, fearing the worst. He caught a glimpse of Victoria, lying there, conscious but pale. Tears streamed down her face, stark against the darkening sky. "Victoria!" he shouted, rushing to her side. "Oh God, what happened?" She looked up at him, lips trembling. I just wanted to be free, to be with you." Before he could respond, a voice thundered through the air. "What are you doing here, farmer?" It was Mr. Harris, purple in the face, storming toward them. In that moment, just as Michael braced for confrontation, everything shifted. A loud crash echoed from inside the mansion. The crowd gasped, hearts collectively stopping. The front door burst open, and out staggered a figure, a man, lean and disheveled, clutching a torn envelope. "Mr. Harris!" the man shouted, drawing everyone's attention. "You need to see this. It's about the family." Suddenly, the envelope slipped from his fingers, fluttering to the ground. As the rain-soaked paper unfolded, Michael squinted, every eye in the crowd watching, breath bated. The words, "illegitimate child," stood stark against the chaos, before Mr. Harris snatched it up, his face going white. The shockwaves rippled through the crowd, whispers igniting like wildfire. Michael felt lightheaded, heart racing. What did it mean? What secret had just shattered the facade of this perfect family? Had Michael unknowingly stepped into a world fraught with betrayal and hidden history? Victoria's eyes widened in terror, and Michael felt an urgent pull towards her. But just as he reached for her hand, the storm roared louder, drowning out the voices around him. Did their love have a chance? Or were they just pawns in a game far beyond their control? The storm howled, whipping rain against Michael's skin as the charged atmosphere thickened. Eyes were fixed on Mr. Harris, his face draining of color. The crowd buzzed with murmurs, the air electric with confusion and dread. Michael clutched Victoria's hand, heart hammering, desperately searching her gaze for guidance. "What does it mean?" she whispered, frail and trembling beneath the storm clouds. The words formed a fragile bridge between them, one that felt like it might shatter at any moment. Before anyone could answer, the sharp crack of thunder rolled overhead, startling the spectators. Among the chaos, Michael could feel the weight of judgment seeping from Mr. Harris's glare. A deep fear gripped him. What if this secret ruined everything? What if the man standing before him pulled them apart forever? Suddenly, without warning, the disheveled man who had stumbled from the house dropped to his knees, scrambling to collect himself. His hands trembled as he held the torn envelope, raising it high for all to see. "We have to know the truth!" he shouted, breathless. "What truth?" Mr. Harris roared, his voice like a whip. "You dare speak of truths in front of me?" As if reacting to the tension, the sky opened up in a torrential downpour. People uprooted, scrambling back from the intensity of the situation. But Michael stood firm, his eyes glued to the envelope. "You can't hide forever," he called out, sick of being a pawn in someone else's game. Amid gasps, the man finally opened the envelope. As he read the contents aloud, Michael felt a chill race down his spine. "The truth is, you're not who you think you are, Victoria," he stammered, voice shaking. "You have an older brother, a brother that Mr. Harris has been keeping hidden all these years." A collective gasp echoed through the crowd, eyes darting from Mr. Harris to Victoria, a new tension gnawing at everyone present. The words hung in the air, heavy and cold. Michael's heart raced for a different reason now, a wild mix of dread and confusion. "What?" Victoria gasped. Her eyes darted between her father and the man in disbelief, like a deer caught in headlights. The revelation demanded silence, swallowing the crowd's whispers whole. "Your mother had an affair," the man continued. "This child was given up to save the family name." Mr. Harris roared, "Enough!" His face distorted with fury, but Michael could see cracks forming in his carefully constructed facade. "But it's true, isn't it?" the man pressed, stepping closer to Mr. Harris. "He's still out there, and he's coming for you." Shock cascaded through the group as realization took hold. The powerful businessman's past was unraveling before their eyes, and Michael felt the fire of truth ignite in his chest. It was frightening and freeing all at once. Victoria's whole world tilted. She staggered back, eyes wide, processing the words. Michael reached for her, feeling her fear seep into him. "What does this mean for us?" she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. They stood at the precipice of something vast and terrible, and suddenly the skies erupted with lightning, fracturing the atmosphere with ominous energy. In all this chaos, one question rang out loudly to Michael. Would this revelation break them or bind them closer together? Just as he thought he had a grip on the situation, the very ground shifted beneath him. From the shadows of the estate, a figure emerged, a tall man with striking eyes, as if he knew something vital. When their eyes met, Michael's heart dropped. "Hello, sister," he said, voice smooth and chilling. "I believe we have much to discuss." The twist of fate twisted tighter, leaving nothing certain in their world of secrets, and all Michael could do was hold on, breathless and afraid of what was yet to come. "Hello, sister," he said, voice smooth and chilling. "I believe we have much to discuss." The man's expression was a mix of mischief and trouble, and chaos spun in Michael's head. Victoria's mouth dropped open, shock etched across her features. The crowd held its breath, uncertain whether to retreat or step closer. "Who are you?" Victoria managed, her voice shivering like a leaf in the wind. He stepped toward her. "You really don't know?" "I'm your brother, Victoria. Your real brother." The words slammed into Michael like a freight train, and the world narrowed down to the terrible truth of it all. No, it couldn't be. Mr. Harris was livid, rage heating him like a furnace. "Stay away from her," he barked, a warning echoing through the surging crowd. People were stirring, nervous energy crackling like static electricity. "No, father, it's true," the brother voiced, his calm running against the storm surrounding them. "You thought you could bury the truth, but it's coming to light." Victoria swayed on her feet, her reality crumbling beneath her. Michael reached for her, desperate to ground her. "Victoria!" But her eyes were locked on him, the brother, wild and unsettling. "What do you mean hidden?" she choked, tears glimmering in the downpour. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to know who you are. Who we are," he shouted, urgency bleeding into his voice. "You deserve to know the truth about why we were separated." The crowd surged forward, whispers forming a torrential tide of disbelief. "No way," someone gasped. "He can't be." Michael felt the weight of judgment pressing down on him. The isolated farmer, now connected to a twisted family portrait. The secrets, the lies. His heart raced with the implications of it all. But before he could process the reality, the sky cracked open again. Thunder roared. In an instant, something rushed from the estate's entrance, a flash of shadow, darting like a ghost. "Get down!" Someone screamed. Chaos erupting. The crowd erupted into panic as a figure burst from the estate, appearing out of thin air. It was blindingly fast as it rushed toward the man who claimed to be Victoria's brother. In one swift motion, it lunged, and the air froze. Bam! A shot rang out, drowning the noise of the storm. Michael's heart dropped. The brother staggered back, eyes wide, hand clutching his chest. Blood blossomed like a dark flower against his shirt. Victoria screamed, a sound that cut through the chaos. No! The world erupted into a stampede of gasps and cries, scattering like leaves in the wind. Mr. Harris, momentarily stunned, grasped Victoria, pulling her close. "What have you done?" he roared at some unseen attacker. But no one could react. Everyone was frozen, eyes glued to the unfolding horror. Michael felt the ground shake beneath him. The confusing picture of family and secrets unraveled into confusion and chaos. Who had shot him? Who was this mysterious brother? The brother fell to the ground, eyes wide with disbelief. "Victoria, help!" he gasped, voice choked. She struggled against her father's grip. "I need to go to him." The crowd recoiled, fear thick in the air. Michael, breathless, pushed through the throng. "No, stay back! Someone call for help!" As the brother gasped, clutching at the wound, Michael's gaze flickered between the brother, Victoria, and Mr. Harris, each face twisting in their own nightmare. What was the truth? Who was the enemy? What had just happened? Time slowed, reality splintering like shattered glass. Eyes darted everywhere, searching for answers as the rain poured down, washing over blood-stained grass. Everything felt upended. The foundation of their lives, now a tangled mess of lies and threats. Would this unravel the truth they desperately needed, or lead them into deeper darkness? In that charged moment, a single truth rang clear. Nothing would ever be the same again. Michael felt like the world had collapsed around him. The brother's face was a mask of pain and truth, and chaos swirled in a storm of emotions. Rain poured down, drenching everything, but the atmosphere felt thick with fear and confusion. Victoria's scream echoed through the frenzy, a heart-wrenching sound that sliced through the storm. "Somebody help!" Michael yelled, rushing toward her. She was frozen, eyes glued to her brother on the ground. The echo of thunder rang in his ears as he fought through the crowd, heart racing. "Victoria, listen! We need to get him help!" But her gaze was not on Michael. It was locked on the figure on the ground, her brother, the stranger who had shattered everything she thought she knew. "No!" she cried, tears streaming down her face, mingling with the rain. "Please, don't go!" The brother gasped, voice shaking. "Victoria, you have to trust me. I'm not the enemy." His words, though weak, carried a weight that made Michael's chest tighten. Then the crowd shifted. Gasps rippled through them, like a wave. Someone at the back let out a shocked cry, pointing toward the estate where the figure had emerged moments ago. Michael turned instinctively. With eyes wide, he watched as another man stepped into view, a tall figure with dark clothes, a glint of something dangerous in his eyes. He moved with an unsettling grace, parting the crowd like a blade through butter. "This wasn't supposed to happen," he said, voice smooth, almost calm amidst the rising panic. "Who are you?" A voice trembled from the crowd. The newcomer flashed a smirk. "I'm here to collect what's mine." And then, as if on cue, the air thickened with tension. Michael's heart hammered in his chest, danger prickling at his skin. "What do you want?" he shouted. But the stranger wasn't looking at him. Victoria's brother, struggling to breathe, focused his gaze on the man. You don't have to do this," he rasped. "Oh, but I do." The man stepped forward, his eyes gleaming like a predator's. "Your existence complicates things, dear brother. All these years we kept you hidden, but no longer." "What?" Victoria's voice wavered, the clarity of her world crumbling further. "What do you mean?" "I mean, this family was never yours to claim." The man turned to her. "The truth is, your father is not who you think he is. He's been protecting a legacy, a fortune. And you," he pointed a finger, "are just a pawn in a game bigger than you know." A gasp escaped the crowd. Whispers erupted, eyes darting among each other, faces painted with fear and confusion. Michael felt the ground shift beneath him. Memories, the life he thought he understood, fractured with every revelation. Victoria trembled, stepping back. "What are you saying?" "He's your father, and mine," the man continued, voice rising above the chaos. "Our real father is someone wealthy and powerful, and your father has kept us apart to protect his standing, to shield his perfect image." The weight of his words hung in the air, pressing down on everyone. Michael stood paralyzed. What were the implications of this revelation? Were they all trapped in a web of lies woven by Mr. Harris, crafting a facade that had now unraveled? Victoria looked from her brother, now fading, to the man who claimed to be a part of her life. Her hand trembled as she reached for Michael, fear and confusion swirling in her eyes. "Is this true?" she whispered, but the ground shook, a reminder of the violence still swirling in the air. Before he could respond, the brother let out a choked cry, clutching his chest tightly as if trying to hold it together. "Victoria, don't let him win. You need to remember who you are." Heaving breaths punctuated the tension, and Michael felt himself slipping toward the edge of panic. With every word, every revelation, Victoria's world spun further out of control. Who were they really? What was the truth of their past? In that moment, lightning flashed overhead, illuminating the strange family tableau, a jumbled mess of pain, fear, and unraveling secrets. As everything teetered on the edge, Michael felt a surge of urgency. He had to protect her. He had to shield them both from the secrets clawing their way to the surface. But with each passing second, the storm intensified, and the true nature of their fates loomed ominously in the unforgiving darkness. "Victoria!" he shouted against the roar of the storm. "We need to get out of here, now!" But the brother's pain echoed in the downpour, his body weak, but his spirit strong. "Fight for the truth, Victoria. Don't let them bury you with lies." The thunder roared again, drowning out their desperate cries, leaving only one lingering thought in Michael's mind. Was any of this even real? Or were they all pawns in a game with stakes much higher than they knew? Michael's heart raced as he watched the figure of Victoria's brother on the ground, blood pooling around him, every second stretched as he fought the storm of panic swelling in his chest. "Someone needs to call for an ambulance," he shouted, his voice lost amidst the chaos swirling all around. Victoria was still rooted to the spot, tears streaming down her face as she glanced from her brother to the stranger moving closer. The man, claiming to be her kin, stepped forward with an unsettling calmness, while the crowd shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting. Michael felt the tension cling thick in the air, like the heavy raindrops cascading down their faces. "Leave her alone," he yelled, stepping protectively in front of Victoria. "I'm not your enemy," the brother breathed, eyes locking onto Michael's. "I'm trying to help her. We all need to know the truth." Thunder crashed, shaking the ground underfoot. "What truth?" Victoria cried, her voice breaking. What else could possibly be a part of this nightmare? As if he were a dark storm cloud gathering strength, the new man stepped in, his grin widening. "Oh, sweet sister, the truth is darker than you think." With a flick of his wrist, he pulled something from his coat pocket, a gleaming object that caught the dim light. A gun. Time froze. Michael's heart skipped. "Get down," he shouted, lunging toward Victoria. But the brother's eyes widened with realization. "No, don't." But it was too late. The man squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out loud, sharp as lightning, piercing through the storm. Victoria gasped, and Michael felt a jolt of disbelief shoot through him. He barely processed it when the brother suddenly lunged, practically throwing himself in front of her. Bam! The bullet struck him instead, and a sickening thud echoed as he crumpled to the ground. Michael scrambled to catch Victoria as she fell against him, horrified. "No, no, why did you do that?" As the chaos erupted around them, Michael was hit with a wave of disbelief. The crowd gasped, voices lifting in a cacophony of shock. "What just happened? He saved her!" Fear replaced confusion as each onlooker tried to piece together the disarray. The gunman stood there, eyes glinting with surprise as yet another twist of fate unfolded. "You fool! You shouldn't have interfered!" "What is wrong with you?" Michael yelled, fury mixing with the ever-growing panic in his veins. He felt his heart pounding in rhythm with the thunder, raw fear coursing through him. This didn't make sense. Nothing about this made sense. Then, something unexpected happened. The brother, lying on the ground, struggled to lift his head, blood spilling from his mouth. "Victoria!" he gasped weakly, reaching out a trembling hand toward her. "Don't trust him. You have to know who your real father is." His words dripped with urgency, yet felt heavy, soaked in pain. "Stop!" the man with the gun thundered, anger ripping through his voice. "That's not your father's secret to share." "What do you mean?" Victoria cried, eyes locked onto her brother. Her voice thick with fright. "What are you saying?" "Your father," he wheezed, gasping for breath as shudders racked his body. "He's not who you think. Things are more tangled than you know." With that, a deep groan escaped him. His hand fell limp to the ground, and Michael felt the world tip sideways. No, this can't be happening. What did he mean? As the rain poured harder, drowning out everything, Michael's mind raced as the storm outside mirrored the turmoil within. The crowd, once a mere backdrop, now transformed into a mosaic of shocked faces, each one reflecting disbelief and fear. But just as all hope seemed lost, the gunman narrowed his eyes, stepping back into the shadows. Looks like the pathetic truths are coming to light. But is anyone ready for what really lies ahead? With that cryptic promise hanging in the air, he turned on his heel and ran into the depths of the estate, leaving chaos in his wake. Michael was left gripping Victoria tightly, her eyes filled with a dreadful mix of fear and confusion. "What did he mean?" she murmured, barely above a whisper. "What truth?" They were all left hovering on the edge of something dark, the rain spilling over them as they clung to scraps of words. Each second stretched. Would they dare to uncover it? What had just unraveled before their eyes? Michael needed answers, but with a storm raging on and whispers of betrayal lurking, one thing became painfully clear. The real fight was just beginning. Michael held Victoria close, their breaths mingling as they faced the storm of chaos around them. Shock lingered heavy in the air, confusion festering like an open wound. The brother lay crumpled on the ground, blood seeping into the grass, the world blurring at the edges. What do we do? Michael felt the urgency seep through him, time ticking away. "Call an ambulance," someone shouted from the crowd, but voices blended into a blur of panic. Michael's heart was a wild drum in his chest. He could almost hear the electricity crackling in the air, a mix of fear and uncertainty that painted the situation in shades of dread. Victoria's eyes searched the crowd for answers, but all she found were faces twisted in shock, their mouths stumbling over whispers. "What truth?" she shouted, the words raw and desperate. But before anyone could respond, a figure appeared at the estate's door, silhouetted by the lightning that flashed overhead. It was Mr. Harris, his face a storm of rage and disbelief. "What have you done?" he thundered, eyes darting between the brother and the gunman. The crowd parted like water around him. "It's not what you think," Victoria cried, tears spilling down her cheeks. But Mr. Harris wasn't listening. His gaze was locked on the gunman, an unmistakable flicker of recognition igniting in his eyes. "You!" he yelled, fury gripping his voice. "You shouldn't have come back here." In that moment, the riddle turned on its head. The crowd whispered, bewildered. Michael felt his stomach drop, confused as he searched for clarity. What does he mean? But the gunman's smirk twisted into a grimace. "Nice to see you again, father. The prodigal son has returned." Shock rippled through the crowd. Michael's mind raced. "What?" he shouted. "You're his son?" Mr. Harris took a step back, shock ripping through his features. "This is all your fault," he spat back, anger rising like a tide. "I thought I had buried you." The brother on the ground stirred slightly, words slurring. "You can't hide forever, father. This isn't over." "No." Victoria's voice shook, her heart breaking at the realization. "You're saying he's my brother?" Pain twisted her expression, confusion clouding her gaze as she slid toward Michael for support. Then it happened. Under the thunderous sky, as the rain poured down in sheets, something inside the brother shifted. His body convulsed, a harsh gasp tearing from his throat. In a chilling moment, his eyes widened, horror dawning as he looked beyond them. "No, don't!" he screamed, frantically pointing to the trees on the estate's edge. But it was too late. A figure emerged from the shadows. A woman, swift and silent as a ghost, stepped into the light. Her face was familiar. Victoria's heart raced as she recognized her mother. But something was off. The look in her eyes was cold and calculating, the twisted smile haunting. "Mother?" Victoria's voice cracked, and the world fell silent for a second. "Is it really you?" But the woman only smiled, every emotion stripped away. "My dear, haven't you learned?" Her tone was chilling. "Everything is mine to control." Time seemed to fracture, the air thick with dread. Michael felt a dark void open inside him. No, this couldn't be happening. They were unraveling a truth twisted in shadows. The gunman's features hardened, betrayal etched deeply on his brow. "What are you doing here? You said you were dead." "Oh, darling, the people can be so easily fooled," she cooed, her voice dripping with malice. "And now it's time to take back what's ours." The crowd shifted, uneasy and bewildered, whispers echoing in the air like shards of broken glass. Michael's heart sank. Everything was spiraling out of control. Secrets, lies, emotions, it all blurred into chaos. In a split second, the woman raised her hand, and the world tilted again. "Let's finish this," she declared, shattering the fragile tension. The storm swelled, darkening their lives. What had just unfolded? Would the truth of their stories bury them under its weight? Michael's mind raced, heart pounding like thunder. In one moment, they had been seeking answers, only to dive deeper into darkness. What truth awaited them at the end of this storm? Michael held Victoria close, her sobs muffled against his chest. The rain pelted down, relentless as the storm brewed around them. Mr. Harris's face twisted in fury, while the brother lay pale and still, fighting for breath. The stranger's cold smile sliced through the chaos, and they all hung in the balance, the truth teetering on the edge of discovery. "Let's finish this," the woman with the chilling smile repeated, her words dripping with menace. "Don't you see? You're all part of a game much larger than you know." As she spoke, something shifted in the air, like a charged current. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Michael's heart raced. What more could she possibly reveal? But before she could continue, a sudden roar filled the air, an unexpected noise that drowned out the storm. Everyone turned, eyes wide. From behind the trees, an SUV barreled onto the estate, tires screeching. The crowd parted, shock painted on every face as the vehicle skidded to a halt. The driver's door swung open, and a figure jumped out. A woman, wild-eyed, hair streaming like a dark banner behind her. "Stop! Don't hurt anyone!" she shouted, charging forward, breathless. "I came as fast as I could." "What the?" Michael muttered, eyes darting between her and the chaos. Who was she? Victoria turned, recognition flashing across her face. "Elena?" she whispered. The woman rushed toward them. "I couldn't let you stay in the dark. I'm here to—" But before she could finish, the gunman unleashed a shout, aiming his weapon at her. "Get back!" he roared, panic in his eyes, flicking anxious glances at the brother crumpled on the ground. Michael pushed Victoria behind him, defensively. "Don't you dare touch her!" He felt his pulse reach a breaking point, anger surging through him like fire. Elena, undeterred, took another step forward. "You don't understand. The truth, that family secret you thought was buried, it's deeper than that." Her voice cracked under the weight of urgency. "What are you talking about?" Victoria asked, dread creeping into her words. "What do you know? It's about your father, and why I've been following you all along." The words hung in the air, heavy with implications. Then it happened. An ear-splitting crack rang through the storm. Lightning struck close by, illuminating the figures on the grass. And in that bright flash, the brother twitched violently, finally drawing everyone's gaze. "I'm not just your brother," he gasped, voice ragged, as he struggled to sit up. You both need to know the true family tree." Before he could finish, Elena shouted, "No, don't!" But it was too late. In a swift, shocking moment, he leaned forward and pulled a small, worn locket from beneath his shirt, the metal glistening even against the downpour. "This connects us all. You're all part of this web, but I never wanted you to know." He opened it, revealing a faded photograph. The crowd gasped again, and as lightning flashed, the image was illuminated. In that moment, Michael's breath caught. The woman in the photo, remarkably familiar. It was their mother, but that wasn't the only shock. "Your mother is still alive." He spat out the words with labored breaths. "She's been watching, waiting." Suspense hung thick. Michael felt the ground shift beneath him as disbelief washed over the crowd. Victoria staggered, her expression a tumult of confusion. "No, this can't be true." "It is," the brother gasped, "and it changes everything." As the storm raged, the truth began to spiral out of control, unveiling layers that twisted their identities completely. No one knew who to trust. Everyone's reality was on the brink of an unimaginable collapse, and Michael felt time blur, an impending storm of revelations crashing down. What would come next? Michael held Victoria close, her sobs muffled against his chest. The rain pounded down, relentless, as everyone processed the brother's revelation. The crowd hung on every word, waiting for answers. But things were unraveling faster than anyone could comprehend. "What do you mean?" Victoria begged, eyes wide and searching. "I'm not just your brother." His voice was weak but filled with urgency. You both need to know the true family tree." Michael tried to hold on to the moment, trying to keep them anchored in this storm of chaos. But just then, Elena stepped forward, her face pale, urgency in her eyes. "No, you can't let him do this." "What are you talking about?" Victoria cried, desperation creeping into her voice. Before she could finish, the brother staggered again, coughing violently. "Listen to me. We're not just siblings. Our mother—" But he never got the chance to finish. From the estate, gunshots rang out again. 4 loud bursts that shattered the air. Michael's heart dropped as he instinctively shielded Victoria. The crowd erupted into panic. Screams filled the air, bodies tumbling into each other as confusion reigned. "Get down!" someone shouted, and chaos erupted like a scattered deck of cards. Michael's grip tightened on Victoria as they dropped to the ground. In a blink, a dark figure appeared from the trees, moving in with the precision of a predator. The gun still clutched in his hand, he shouted something everyone feared. "This ends now." A flash of fire exploded as he squeezed the trigger again. But instead of the brother, the bullet hit the woman standing next to him, Elena. Time froze. "No!" Victoria screamed, her voice raw and piercing as the shot ricocheted through the chaos. Michael's heart shattered hearing that cry. Elena crumpled, eyes wide with surprise, hands reaching out as if trying to grab hold of something, but finding only the cold ground. Shock swept across the crowd like a flood. Faces blanched as they took in the reality. "Someone call for help!" Michael yelled, panic surging as he knelt beside Elena. Blood pooled around her, bright crimson against the muddy earth. "Stay with us. You're going to be okay." But her gaze was losing focus, drifting away from this world. I wished I could tell you," she breathed, soft and shaky, trembling as darkness crept into her eyes. "No, don't you dare leave," Michael yelled, panic gripping him as Victoria shrieked beside him. The crowd was alive with whispers, confusion, a terrible energy swirling around them. Tension crackled, and the gunman, momentarily shocked by his own actions, looked around wildly, caught in a net spun of horror. "What have I done?" he stammered, eyes darting in disbelief. But before anyone could react, the brother surged up from the ground, surprisingly strong, a fire lighting his eyes despite his wounds. "You think this is over?" he shouted, voice booming. "You have no idea what you've unleashed." Suddenly, a dark shadow moved behind him. The crowd drew back in fear, and Michael squinted through the pounding rain. A strong figure stepped forward, face obscured but unmistakably commanding. "Enough!" the voice rumbled, deep and powerful, like thunder rolling through a storm. Gasps echoed as the figure pushed through, shedding the shadowy cloak and revealing their mother. "Mom?" Victoria's voice trembled, blurring the line between disbelief and a surge of hope. "Is it really you?" But the woman's gaze was unforgiving. "I came back for what is mine," she declared, voice ice cold. "But you all," she pointed at the gunman, the brother, even Michael, "you've ruined everything." The twist hit like a tidal wave, crashing over them all. Michael's mind spun. The truth was morphing again, reshaping their identities, turning allies into enemies. Everything they thought they knew washed away in a single moment. As the storm raged on, questions swirled inside him. What did this mean? Who was truly on their side? With fear clawing at his chest, he realized nothing would ever feel secure again. The layers of their lives were now tangled in a web of deceit, and each answer led them deeper into the unknown. Was this the beginning of a reckoning, or a plunge into darkness? The lightning flashed, illuminating the uncertainty on every face as they stood on the brink of chaos, unsure of what would come next. Michael felt the tension crackle in the air, like the charged sky above. Victoria's mother stood at the forefront, her eyes cold and calculating, trapped in a past they all wanted to escape. "You think you've unraveled the truth, but it's just the beginning," she said, voice twisting like a knife. "Why did you come back?" Victoria's voice trembled, fear flickering in her eyes. "What do you want?" "I want what's mine," her mother said, pressing forward with an intensity that haunted the ground beneath them. "You and your brother might think you're free, but you belong to me, and this family that we've built. You have no idea the power we wield." "Our family?" The brother gasped from the ground, blood seeping from the edges of his wounds. "You destroyed everything, Mom." "Elena is gone, and because of you." Victoria's voice rose, anguish spilling over. A murmur swept the crowd, eyes darting back and forth, energy coiling around every heartbeat. Each face had turned to shock, confusion painted across their features. "What happened to Elena?" someone whispered, dread heavy in their hearts. Michael knelt beside Elena, her eyes flickering as more than just life faded from them. "Stay with us, help is coming." But even he knew the inevitability of the situation. Her breathing slowed. "You need to fight," he pressed, but her gaze grew distant. "I tried," she murmured, hand barely lifting. The weight of it crushed him. "I always fought for you, Victoria. Don't let them take your light." A scream punctured the storm, and chaos erupted again. The gunman hesitated, weapon shaking in his hands. "You don't understand what you're doing," he shouted, eyes wide with uncertainty. "Freedom doesn't come without cost," Victoria's mother snapped back, face stone-like. "You'll do as I say or you'll regret it." "You can't control everything," Michael shouted back, fury sparking through him. "You don't own us." The tension was almost unbearable. The brothers struggled to rise, eyes locked with Victoria's, determination basking in both of their gazes. "You must break this cycle. Don't let her silence you." "Stop," Mr. Harris's voice cut through, raw with authority. "All of this. It was never meant to be like this." All eyes turned to him, the storm waiting for his words. "We are a family torn apart by fear and lies, and it ends tonight." Thunder rang out loudly, urging them toward action. The brother clenched his fists, energy bubbling just below the surface. "Together," he whispered to Victoria, "we can break free." As if sparked by their resolve, consciousness surged through everyone. In an instant, Victoria stepped away from her mother, eyes aflame. "No more." With renewed strength, she turned to the crowd, voice steady. "We will take the truth and reclaim our lives. We will not be pawns in this twisted game." Gasps echoed, collective shock rolling like waves through the hearts of those gathered. The air thickened with defiance as they faced each other. And then, a crack appeared in the storm. A shaft of sunlight broke through the clouds, illuminating Victoria and her brother in a bright halo, a flicker of hope igniting in Michael's chest. Elena's breathing slowed, and Michael's heart ached for her. She slipped into the darkness, but no one would forget her sacrifice. Her fight would be their focal point. Victoria turned to her brother, resolve blazing bright. "Then let's go together." She held his hand, squeezing tightly. A fiery bond sparked between them. As the storm raged around them, their essence became a surge of hope, shattering the old and ushering in their new story. But even with the fight for the truth, shadows loomed in the distance. The legacy of their family was not so easily defeated. With one last look at the gathering cloud, Michael felt a shiver of uncertainty. What lay ahead in their story? The storm rumbled ominously, waiting to reveal its secrets. You need to subscribe now to catch everything coming next. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to boost the algorithm and help us grow. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this wild conclusion. And don't wait 1 second more to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know this shocking ending. Only true fans understand the importance of your actions. Let's build this community together.